So, you want to learn about anomalies, about cryptids, about the supernatural? Well then you're at the right place! Hello and welcome to Anomalies Eekxplained! Today we got the Sirenhead, anxious dogs, and, to the very last, witchworms! So get a cup of coffee, pack out your notebooks, and lean back and enjoy! So let's start off with Sirenhead. Sirenhead is a 12-meter tall creature with its skin being dried and mummified. This skin looks like rusty metal or like tree bark. There are also wires in its abdomen and chest that are pressed directly against the skin, and these wires move when Sirenhead is agitated. Its body is also stuffed full of loose cassette tapes and shine pulsing reel-to-reel tape recorders. These are connected by organic fibers and its veins. There are also two sirens on top of Sirenhead's head, giving it its iconic name. These sirens have teeth, but these teeth are only visible when certain radio frequencies are played through these sirens. And in these sirens are also snake-like tongues. There are black wires connecting these sirens to the body of Sirenhead. These sirens can also move around a full 360 degrees, just like the head of an owl. These sirens are also made completely out of metal that are fused with the dry skin of Sirenhead. Sirenhead also has several impressive abilities, like its fast movement speed, with which it can keep pace with a speeding car. It's also extremely strong and can break down trees or heavy objects at will, or even kidnap an entire family of 4 at once, which happened already at least one time that was recorded. It also uses echolocation to see. Furthermore, it can also mimic audios, like human voices. It can replicate local fauna, music, emergency alert messages, air raid sirens, and even radio chatter. It can also concentrate the sound into large sonic blasts, or another tone to take out large groups of people at once. But how does Sirenhead behave? Well, the most important trait about it, it's an ambush predator. So it stands still most of the time, and does so even for several days. Sirenhead lures its victims with voices of humans that are in distress. Hereby it uses the voices of its past victims. The victims are usually found with their eyes, their eardrums, their gums, and their sinuses burst and bleeding. Also, when Sirenhead kills someone, it usually blocks out the screams of its victims with some kind of other sound, like air raid sirens, so that no help can arrive to save the victim. This is unclear why Sirenhead does it, but it's speculated to be just out of pure cruelty. But, most importantly, these sirens are never silent. It always produces some sort of music or a strange snippet out of conversations or angrily shouted words or numbers. But it's been reported that Sirenhead can also be extremely silent if it wants to be. Interestingly enough, Sirenhead can also sleep, and when it's sleeping, it produces white noise. So, it might be that you will fall asleep too, or feel rather calm when you hear it. Maybe I should kidnap it for when I have to fall asleep. But Sirenhead also gets into fights with other anomalies. But here it behaves very differently. Here it doesn't ambush them. No, it actually charges them and violently attacks them. If, in these encounters, Sirenhead gets injured or gets hungry, it will fight even more ferociously, and will never try to run away from those fights. But why does Sirenhead even hunt humans to begin with? We are still very unsure about that. It might be that it hunts humans for food, but that's rather unlikely just because most of its victims just aren't eaten. It could also be that it hunts humans just for sport and for the fun of it. This is the most likely theory, but there's also a whole nother theory, that it hunts its victims to collect their voices. The theory goes that these cassette tapes that are in Sirenhead's body are actually the recorded voices of its past victims. But where would you even find Sirenhead? Sirenhead is oftentimes found in rural towns or wooded areas, but can also rarely be observed in heavily populated areas like a city. Even more rare, in a building, hiding as a PA system, which has only happened once so far in Detroit. But where can you roughly find them on the map? Usually in North America, in the Arizona desert, Indiana, Ohio, and in Michigan. The first modern sighting which went viral was in 1966 at a graveyard in which a couple did a sightseeing tour of graveyards, as you do. But sightings date back even to caveman times, with a caveman drawing of Sirenhead having been found, showing that it's an ancient species. There are also theories suggesting that Sirenhead was once an actual anomalous species, with multiple instances existing. But this is only a theory. So far, we only know about one Sirenhead existing. It could also be that Sirenhead has several subspecies, or in and of itself is a shapeshifter. At least there have been sightings of him with multiple sirens, or even with a streetlight as a head. But let's move on to the next one. And now we're talking about an entire anomalous species, the anxious dogs. They're about 1.3 meters tall when on all fours, and 3.225 meters when standing on two legs. At the end of their feet they have 3 fingers. Their skin is white, translucent, and completely hairless. They have a slim torso, with their spine being completely visible. The shape is low-hanging and oval-shaped. On the lower half of this head, they have a mouth that appears as if it was carved into their head, which looks extremely terrifying to look at. On this mouth it has 46 human-like teeth on the top, and 48 on the jaw. It also has 2 eye socket-like features right above the mouth. It might be evidence that they used to have eyes at some point, but devolved them. It also has stingers along its torso that it can incapacitate anyone that they touch. So, that means that these stingers are poisonous, just like the ones of jellyfish. Inside the body of one of those dogs, there are no blood vessels, no blood, and most importantly, also no organs. The inside are filled with something described to be similar like slimy cauliflower. The bones are barely distinguishable from the surrounding tissue and are rubber-like. And from the mouth it goes into an esophagus or a trachea, which goes on for about 60 centimeters and then just ends in skin. These anxious dogs can overpower smaller beings with their size, but adult humans can usually overpower them rather easily. Anxious dogs are very agile and fast, and very stealthily, but their most important anomalous ability is that they can trick your eyes to appear as a white greyhound. But pets can usually tell that they clearly aren't a white greyhound, and if you look at them from your peripheral vision, then you will see their true form that they aren't a white greyhound, but a grotesque monster. Their behavior is rather unpredictable. It could want to tear you apart, or want to cuddle up to you even, or, most likely, just stalk you from the shadows. But some survivors say that they will treat you the way you look at them. So look at them as if they were a killer, then they will kill you. Think of them as like a cute puppy, then they will cuddle up to you. They also often act anxious, so just stalking you. That is the most important thing. They usually keep their distance, which makes them appear as if they were anxious. When they move around, they make a clicking sound. They usually hunt house pets like dogs, cats, and also rodents. But sometimes they also go for small human children. If they aren't hunting, they usually appear as large white dogs. These anxious dogs also make a high-pitched cackling, their iconic laughter which sounds forced and like it physically hurts them. But most important to note about them, they are extremely territorial. So if they think that you enter their territorium, then you will probably be mauled by them. So you could probably overpower them, but it's best to stay away from them. Something interesting about them, which sets them apart from many other species, that they only live in urban environments like cities and suburban areas, and they are usually considered an invasive species. But let's move on to the last creature for today, the bridgeworm. It's a worm-like creature with a body that's about 12 meters long, and 2 long arms that reach about 3 meters. At the end of those arms there are hands that have bone-like fingers, similar to those of humans, but these fingers are far more flexible. It also has a flap of flesh, which looks like a face, also mostly considered the fake face of a bridgeworm. These fake faces have 2 small black tiny slits as eyes, a small mouth, and shows a neutral face expression. It's semi-translucent, so from the downside, where the real face of the bridgeworm is, you can see completely through it. That's why it can still perfectly see out of it. Under this flap of flesh, there's the real face of the bridgeworm. A horrific grin, with 36 human teeth lie beneath it, with a nose which looks like the one of a human skull. The tissue is even almost like the one of a human. The real eyes bounce around and disorient the anomaly greatly, which makes it difficult to pursue a victim for long. It's also not exactly the fastest, and also isn't very agile, so you could most likely even outrun it, or walk in zip-zap lines to outmaneuver it. The bridgeworm usually also hunts at night, and uses lunge attacks to hunt. It rarely leaves its nest and usually tries to lure its victims in with a fake face. This fake face will always be flapped back when it's hunting and visible when it's in a neutral state or sleeping right now. It also might be using safe house tactics, so traveling from bridge to bridge to cross larger areas. But up until now this has not yet been proven, for they don't move around all that often. They're usually located in abandoned areas, under bridges and other overpasses, usually under interstate highway bridges. But they can also hide under smaller bridges if they fit under it. They've been commonly spotted in the Philippines, but also rarely they've been sighted in New Jersey. There's also the possibility that you can kill it, with the paranormal investigator Trevor Henderson having reportedly say, "Always try, good luck." Also, the fake face is considered a flawed evolutionary tactic, which might mean that in a few hundred years that could either completely devolve or it might change into something completely different, like an actual human face to lure people in, or maybe something like mimicking a voice. Who knows? We will see in a few hundred years. Interestingly to note, there's a theory that bridge worms are the younger stages of the worm's life, with the adult form being the highway worm. The highway worm is also a worm-like creature that's about 9 meters long, with a large jaw at the front with almost human-like teeth. It has also pale skin, but doesn't have the bouncy eyes, but 2 yellow glowing eyes. The biggest differences is that it has no arms and also no fake face. One of the anomalous abilities of the highway worm is that it has psychic powers, which it uses to make itself be harder to be seen by passers-by. It also, just like the bridge worm, uses ambush tactics to hunt its victims. It usually wraps itself in underbushes to hide itself. It leaps out of its hiding spot and crushes the victim's car first, to then drag out the victim to then eat it in its safe space. And just like the bridge worm, it also hunts at night. But again, this is only just a theory. It also might be that the highway worm is a completely separate species, or even that it's the younger version of the bridge worm. And this is already the end of this Anomalies Explained episode. Feel free to leave a comment suggesting the next creatures that I will be covering in the next Anomalies Explained video. Also, I would be very grateful if you leave a like and subscribe to not miss the next Anomalies Explained video. Alrighty then. Have an amazing day, have an amazing night, good amazing evening, good whatever the fuck you're having. And this is an order. You will have a good whatever the fuck you're having right now. Wow.